What have you been getting into lately, Chad?
So, I am back on Ghost of Tsushima, which shouldn't really shock much of anybody that listens to this.
It just came out though, brand new game.
It did, brand new game, and I will be honest with you, it really feels like a brand new game to me. Like it really does, and you know the first time hopping on that horse without that arrow quiver was like a memory I'll cherish forever because I've been waiting for that moment for so long.
So now that I admittedly I have also been playing Ghost. I got it this week. What was the previous interaction? Now I don't know any version of this game previous to its current glory of the director's cut. So was the quiver just always there as soon as you learned how to use a bow?
Yeah. So I don't know how far into the game are you?
I guess I'm like 4% per my trophies.
Okay, but you got the bow.
Yeah, I got the bow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty well equipped already.
So basically, that bow mission is when you get the quiver, and then I believe, and I still believe this even now with the way that they did it, that because you can take the bow off your back, but the quiver would stay there. It wouldn't come off with the bow. Now they've made it two different ways. They kind of, or stacking their deck for me in case I was complaining about the other way. But so now you can remove the bow and the quiver comes off, or you can go into the settings and completely remove the bow altogether. So you just pull it out of thin air, which is what I have on because I don't ever want to see that thing. So
I think I have that on. I think I need to flip that so I can see it with it on.
Yeah. So if you take that setting off, anytime that you pull out the bow, it'll be on your back, the quiver and everything, and then you can put it back on your back.
Okay.
But as soon as you switch away to one of the other weapons, it will disappear.
Nice.
So that was like a huge thing for me. I know it's small and a lot of people are probably making fun of me for it, but I'm not going to say that it ruined the game for me, but I mean, it was like just a giant sore thing to look at the entire game.
I mean, it's an incredibly beautiful game. So, and everything else is everything's in place and not out of place. And I guess the one thing that's out of place that's like right in the middle of your screen would be kind of an eyesore,
right?
In a game that's otherwise so well put together.
Yeah, and it really that's how it kind of shocked me because it just seemed like a glitch to me. Like they accidentally forgot to check the box to remove the quiver with the bow. That's how it seemed to me. But it really, I mean, it got to the point where it annoyed me so bad that I would always waste all my arrows. So I had no arrows and it was just an empty quiver sitting there. And I totally, yes, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Biosiv rudely interrupted Chad. What a jerk. He says, did the quiver break the immersion for you?
Yeah, 100%. Like, without a doubt. I have no...
I'll never know. It's very immersive.
Yeah.
With Chad's fix to the game. It's 100% immersive now.
Yeah.
Can I just say something real quick before we get any further? We have to talk about a problem Chad has. It has come to our attention just, a few short moments before the stream started. Just how many screenshots Chad has of Ghost of Tsushima on this PlayStation. And that number is a staggering 667 screenshots of this game.
Should have made that into a game for a giveaway.
We'll make it into like an art book.
Yeah, exactly. Print it out and throw it on the coffee table.
Yeah.
A nice little...
I tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I have whatever you said. I can't remember 667. I think of Ghost of Tsushima, and then I have maybe another 100 of all the other games I've ever played. And those 100 are all automatic trophy pictures that the PlayStation takes when you get a trophy. So I never use the photo mode in any game. Maybe a little bit in Spider-Man, but it seems like every time I turn a corner in Ghost of Tsushima, I'm like, okay, this is freaking beautiful. Like I have to take a picture of this.
the other issue is like it's not even the native PlayStation screenshot settings. Like it's Instagram on steroids. Actually, sure. the in-game Ghost of Tsushima like screenshot settings is deeper than the game settings itself because like you can tilt, filter, add like the particle effects. You can increase like particle effects. You can control the wind speed, the wind direction. It is nuts.
Yes.
It's silly. I was just scrolling through all the settings. I was like, this is why Chad.
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. Believe it or, and now so our listeners can see what I'm talking. I'll drop a couple of the pictures in our Discord, but a lot of those pictures, if not 99% of them, I just took in-game, no filters, nothing, because the game is just that stunning. And it's got, up until this game, The Witcher 3 always had the most beautiful sunsets to me in a video game. They were amazing, but this, especially on the PS5, it blows The Witcher out of the water.
Yeah.
But as far as like, now that I don't have that, having to waste my arrows and everything, it totally changed the way I play the game. Like I use the bow now. I have arrows all the time. And it's just, it sounds ridiculous, but the game is really built around immersion. I mean, the whole wind element to the game is for immersion. So you're not constantly looking at a mini map.
Yeah.
And for something that small to slip through, for me, totally broke the immersion. So Biosiv nailed it on the head. But so what do you think, Nick? Talk to me.
Of the game?
Yes.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, it's such a well put together game. And I would say it's more grounded in itself than The Witcher. Because like to me, The Witcher had like a certain like self-awareness problem where things like didn't blend well in my mind. Like things seemed kind of out of place at times, or like the scaling was off. But like this game, it just has it all like really finely tuned. I am a little annoyed with like the automatic like camera like zoom angle and like over the shoulder sometimes, because like I can't see as much as I want to see. That's like my only like drawback right now. But other than that, like the game is like crazy, and it presents itself in such an approachable manner. But I'm starting to get to the point where obviously like the enemies are getting tougher. It's putting me in like tougher situations, and I'm having to actually like pay attention to the combat, the combos. And the biggest so far, like the biggest thing I think I've been impressed with, outside of like obviously like graphics and like the overall setting, is the bamboo mini game, right? Where you're trying to strike through it. That to me just like brought back the idea of using combos on a controller in like a timed fashion that hasn't been around in a long time. Like to me, I don't know if it was the controller, because of the PS5 controller they knew they were working with, or what, but they really decided to hone in on like the art of using a controller with this game.
Yeah.
Which is the insane part.
Yeah. Yeah. So I originally played the game on my PlayStation 4. That's what I originally played it on. And then it got a PS5 update when the PS5 came out, which pretty much gave it 60 frames per second. So when I was looking at like the specs for the PS5 director's cut, I was like, okay, well now it's 4K 60 FPS. I was like, I mean, it really was stunningly beautiful to begin with. So I don't imagine it's going to be that much more. I'm here for the arrow quiver and the DLC. That's why I'm buying this game, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as you get into the PS5 one, man, I mean, and I've played the game 2 or 3 times before, so I know the game pretty well.
Yeah.
It's just everything is crisp and clear. And that controller, man, the stuff they added to that controller, if you want to talk about immersion, that controller brings immersion into this game like nothing I've ever played before. And I don't know. I don't think they're in the base game. I'll talk about Iki Island here in a couple minutes, which is the new DLC, and I'll try to keep it spoiler free for everybody. But one of the things they added into Iki Island was like using a grappling hook to pull trees down and stuff. So when you throw this thing, you feel it swinging. You feel it hit the tree, and then the trigger, they like pump the tension all the way up. So you have to like legitimately struggle to pull it, and it like bounces, the vibrate bounce. It's like the most amazing thing I've ever felt in a game for something so simple. It's like Mike's sound of a cutting tree. This is my version of that.
Yes.
And then the audio stuff that they added. So I know you've only played it on PS5, but if you hear the like swords deflecting and stuff on the controller, none of that was in the original game.
Okay.
So that's all PS5 stuff.
I feel like 30% of the audio comes through the controller.
Yeah.
But it's done very intelligently to where there's elements of the same sound on like from the TV, and then there is the controller like sounds that kind of like back it up, whether it's the vibrations you're feeling it or the additional sounds that are just kind of like diverted to the controller to be more present in your face.
I was totally, you know, I love the way they use the controller just in the base PS4 as far as like cleaning the blood off your sword, swiping right, and all that stuff. I think that was so cool. You know, you just cut a dude down and swipe right on the D-pad, and he cleans his blood off and puts it back in the sheath.
Yeah,
it's just so, you know, you just feel like a badass when you're doing it. It is what it is, you know. So I didn't think they were going to be able to one up what they did with the controller, and then they brought me all the PS5 stuff, and it's like absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
So I made the mistake, unfortunately, of playing this game like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. I restarted it and beat it. And then like right at the end of me beating the campaign, I didn't do any of the side stuff. They announced the director's cut, and I was like, crap. Well, I want to now I want to wait for that because they called out the arrow quiver. I'm like, I'm still complaining about it as I'm playing it now. So I lost my train of thought. I'm so googly-eyed over this game that I'm getting lost here.
That's hilarious. So
yeah, I mean,
no idea what I'm about to say.
Yeah, you played it. It's like a month ago. They announced the director's cut. Okay. You didn't think they could one up it,
right? So this time, getting the director's cut, and I talked about it on the show. I paid full price for it because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I got to be honest with you, the people that are complaining that this game, the director's cut, is an upgrade of like $30, like you're wrong. I'm sorry. I would pay $70 for this game again. Sorry. So, and we'll get to that a little later in the show about the, you know, game prices, I'm sure. So, but so this time I was like, you know, I had just beaten the campaign a month ago. So I was like, I'm just going to beeline the main story and then leave all the side content, because what I felt like Ghost of Tsushima was missing when it came as opposed, or like in comparison to The Witcher, was like a mass amount of stuff to do. The cool thing about The Witcher is you could like stroll into town, solve all their problems, get on your horse and stroll to the next town, solve all their problems. And I feel like, you know, a lot of samurai, almost every samurai movie is like that. So, you know, it has a samurai strolling into town and solving everybody's problems. So I felt like that was missing. So I felt like it would be a good opportunity to blow through the entire story, do Iki Island, and then start at the bottom of the map and work my way up and do all the side content. So I'm kind of getting to the end of Iki Island right now. And, you know, another thing with the controller that they added for Iki, they added like a new enemy called a shaman in there. And I'll let you figure out what he does, but he has this like chant that he does, and it comes through the controller, and it's so eerie because you'll hear this thing, and while he's doing this chant, it changes the gameplay to a point where you need to take care of him pretty much first before anything else.
Right.
But as soon as you hear that chant on the controller, man, it's super eerie. I loved it.
Nice. BioCiv chimes in, says, Chad, have you considered the body accessories for further immersion?
I have not. No, I don't really even know what those are, to be honest with you.
Come on, Bio. He likes chicks, bro. No, I'm just kidding. I think they might have like a vest type thing, speaker things that like for haptic feedback and stuff.
Yeah. That is definitely cool. I think that's, you know, I feel like the PS5 controller is kind of like that. You know what I mean? You're not wearing it, obviously, but everything that they're doing with it so far, even back in Returnal, when I did Returnal, it's just, you have to play with this controller to understand. It's really you know, I can explain it till my, you know, eyes are bloodshot, but you have to feel it for yourself and experience it for yourself to see how ridiculously cool it is.
Right.
I mean, it's really cool to see it. Obviously, in game, it's way better in a game like Ghosts and everything. But I was even just playing the Astro's Playroom on the PlayStation 5, and it's really just like a showcase for the controller.
Right.
And that was just cool in that own sense because it just shows you all the cool but simple ways you can use the controller. Obviously, Ghosts implements it in a way different level. And the other thing, I mean, there's no HUD, and if there is, there's like very little, and only when you're in combat, and it's so minimal because they do so much through just the controller and just different game elements that you don't need it, and you more so feel it, sense it, and it just has a really good level of immersion.
Yeah.
Plus the story. They do such a good job, because I kept thinking about when you were saying like I was looking for a really good like samurai game. I'm like, wow, like this thing just kind of came along and fulfilled that whole need.
Right. Yeah. I think the so I play with expert HUD on, which even removes furthermore stuff off of the HUD, and even like, you know, giving like what you're gonna do with a button when it tells you to touch a button, like assassinate or whatever. It just removes that. So that's the best way to play the game, man, because I think that's how it's intended. You know that. So the wind element that I'm talking about is if you want to go somewhere, let's say you're on your way to a mission, you can swipe up on the D-pad and the wind in the game will blow in the direction you need to be going. So that removes, you know, because, and even like Grand Theft Auto kind of struggles with this a little bit, where you're just staring at the mini map, you're driving on the mini map, you know, what I mean? You're not even watching what's going on. So I thought that was super, you know, I think Assassin's Creed does something similar, but they like give you like directions, like he's on the island south of the big tree, yada, yada, yada. That's a little too immersive for me. You know what I mean? Getting lost in this giant world. I felt like the wind thing was a good way to kind of be in between.
Because it's always blowing where in the direction you need to go, so it's really obvious, and it is like everything's just over the top. Like there's leaves everywhere, there's particles in the wind, so like it's just like this constant like fantasy, almost like dream realm of like samurai fantasy.
Yeah.
And I'll probably try to play this game a whole second time, and that would be, I don't know if I'll do the difficulty bump up unless I get like really good.
Yeah.
But I will, but that will be to play it in like the black and white samurai film.
Oh yeah, man.
Cover, and then also with no HUD, like you just said. That would be insane.
Yeah. So I played with the Kurosawa mode for a little bit, and don't get me wrong, I think it's awesome that they did that. It's really, really cool, but it's just masking such a freaking beautiful game with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is definitely cool, and it's good for like a second playthrough or something like that. As far as the difficulty of the game, I kind of would prefer it be a little bit more difficult. I don't feel like any of them are as difficult as I would like it to be. They have like a, you know, hard mode is what I play on because they have like a realistic, I can't remember what they call it, but it's just too realistic to the point where you like, they kill you with one shot and you kill them with one shot. So it's, you know, I want to like fight my butt off. So I play on hard because I feel like that's the best balance between everything.
If it's one hit for one hit, I might like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's just, it gets very frustrating because you die a lot. Like you have to be literally perfect. And I did. Good.
I did do the opening scene in black and white with Japanese dialogue and English subtitles because I was like, how much of a movie does this feel like? So that's definitely my second playthrough is going to be basically a Japanese movie.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, they actually added in like the Japanese like dub lip sync. Yeah, which I heard that the PlayStation 5 does it itself, like it renders cutscenes in real time, so they didn't really even have to do anything. I don't know the kind of technology behind that, but yeah, it's not something that they added. That PlayStation does it itself. So
interesting. While you guys were talking about that, I looked up some of that Nintendo stuff I was talking about. Biosip commented a long time ago, but I wanted to save it for this. He said they hate you for Mario content. Currently, a lot of streamers are getting live streams shut down and VODs pulled. And I found an article from 4 years ago, so it would have been, 2017? The headline reads, Nintendo bans YouTubers from live streaming games through Nintendo Creators Program. And then there was a thing where they were like demonetizing and taking all of the money made from streams because it's their property, right?
Jerks.
I remember that sparked a huge debate because it's like, yeah, it is, but like also these people are like basically free advertising for you. Like,
I mean, that's always it's always like a fine line with that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the confusing thing, because that, to me, that falls under the idea of like a BMX bike. Like the BMX rider gets to make money because he's really good at riding that bike, and people like to watch him ride that bike. That's free advertisement. So it's not like the bike company's going to be like, no, we get all that money because it's our bike.
Right.
Yeah.
It's super. I mean, I get to a point why companies do it, because they don't want like people giving them a bad name. But a lot of these people are not in the slightest doing that, right?
They're giving you I mean, I feel like that gives you a worse name than if someone was just like, this game sucks.
Right.
But like being like, nobody can stream this game is like, ooh, okay, that's kind of a little much.
I'm always weary of that. And I'm always weary of like reviews that come out a day before or a day after a game. Like something's wrong with the game if the review is not up the Monday before it comes out on Tuesday or Friday or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and then I found another article while I was trying to look for the one I just talked about. And this is from January of this year. Nintendo issues mass DMCA takedown, 379 fan-made games forcibly removed. So they go for it. But that just, again, is just like, how are these Pokemon fan-made games slipping through the cracks? I don't know. But I'm thankful for it.
Gotta be Niantic. Nintendo must not have a say in it.
Right.
Game Freaks.
I mean,
Oop. Uh-oh. Mike froze.
So that's got to be kind of crappy for the people making the game.
Nintendo's coming after me.
Yeah, they are trying to shut your stream down. Should have stuck to Ghost of Tsushima.
I know, right? And then while you guys were talking to Biosiv threw this in the comment about controller feedback. He said the only thing that I can imagine as far as controller feedback that makes you feel like, holy crap, is when there was a game called 1-2 Switch on the Nintendo Switch, where you had a matchbox full of marbles, and you would shake your Joy-Con controller and guess how many marbles there were in there.
Yeah,
they did that so amazingly that it really felt like marbles in a matchbox.
Yeah, that's definitely that was kind of their showcase, I think, for the Joy-Cons, that game. So yeah, I mean, it's I won't say that it's on that level. It's different. You know, you can feel the tension in the bow. You can feel the tension in the rope when you're swinging. You can feel, the clash of the sword in the triggers and hear it on the controller. It's just
even
really
jumping ledges.
Yeah.
Like
jumping ledges and riding a horse. You can feel even on different like surfaces with the horse, the vibrate gets like harder or softer depending on your grass or rock or whatever you're on. So I don't know, man. I thought about this before I came down here. I think where I sit right now with this game is it might take over Sekiro for one of my top 5 games of all time.
Whoa.
And it was here I go again. I'm going to say it again, but it was really the arrow quiver that was holding me back from putting it at that top spot. But just the like,
they wanted your top spot. They wanted it.
I know you're playing on a non 4K TV, right?
Correct.
Okay, so
loser.
Poor over here.
Yeah, I tell you, even the jump from whatever they did between the PS5 upgrade and the director's cut is like noticeable to me. So I can only imagine if you put this game on a 4K TV, you're going to be like blown away by it. If you're already blown away by it, stick with it.
I mean, I've yet to be like blown away by a 4K TV because I really can't recall looking at many because they're just not in my life. So the first time I play a video game on a 4K TV, and I'll make sure that it most likely will be this game, so I can just like melt, and not exist for a while. Then
I can't afford a 4K TV. I got all these lights in here.
I know. I got the same issue.
Ran me dry,
So one more thing before we jump off of this, because I know we're at like 40 minutes talking about Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm not done yet. I just want to know what Nick's thoughts on the time frame of the game, the time that it's set in, and the war that it's set around. What do you think about it?
I mean, I love it because it's it's based on like the Mongolian invasion of Japan, right? And it's kind of in like the waning era of the samurai, so they're kind of starting to allude that in the story a little bit, whereas like it's kind of like a bygone era, if you will. Things are changing. There's a lot of little story cues around that, but I mean, for a samurai game that wants to explore a assassin angle on samurai, I think they like pivoted that well into there, because obviously samurai are not assassins, and that's actually one of my favorite features is how they deal with that in game. And I also wonder, maybe like how dynamic are those like moments of reflection when you assassinate someone? Are they just like random, or like are they like fixed?
I think a couple of them are fixed and a couple of them are random, because a couple of them this playthrough, like for me, playing the game, I rarely sneak around and assassinate people. Like I just run right in and just come fight me, because I feel like that's the cool thing to do. The one thing I feel like the game could have maybe had was like a system, like a bar that would go back and forth depending on I can't think of what the name of it. You know,
I thought that's where it was going. Like it's like a paragon like status
exactly. Yeah, like from Mass Effect. So a reputation
I thought that's where it was going when, like, because the one cutscene, the one sensei, he was like, dude, that's not how we do things. So I thought, like, because I assassinated someone in front of him, like that would make his like thoughts on me like trend a different direction.
I mean, I hope that and I'm sure we're gonna get a sequel. I hope in the sequel that they do something like that. I know it's kind of like a lost art per se in games now. Not a lot of games have a reputation thing. So, but I thought it would have been really cool here. You know, there are some things that change in the game depending on how you play, like the weather changes and that stuff. But so I thought the Mongol invasion was kind of a obscure thing to pick for a samurai movie, because they have such a deep violent history with themselves that I didn't think that they needed the Mongol invasion. I thought they could have done, you know, like the Warring States, which is like hundreds of years after this game is set. And a lot of people forget that, like, or don't even know that, like, the samurai ran until like 1868. That's when the shogunate was overthrown, which is like Wild West times here. So literally up until that time, they were still swinging swords at each other. And it's just crazy that a lot of people don't realize how long it went. But it just felt like an obscure time to pick. I get probably why they do it, because nobody else is probably ever going to do the Mongol invasion.
Yeah, I like it because it's like it's a weird thing that's never covered in games, right? So I'm happy to like play it in that respect. Obviously, Assassin's Creed could probably crack that wide open if they ever get over to Asia with their games. But I see what you're saying, but I think that would change the nature of the game and the story they were trying to tell, because like right now it's kind of like the lone samurai savior kind of building his way back up, and obviously it would be a big change in combat, because if you're like samurai on samurai, like that's a whole different, like that's almost like a chivalry or like some other, you know, it's a different game mechanic to deal with. But it would probably translate well ish, like dodge.
I think that I'm hoping that they
should go backwards with a sequel, so do a prequel.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. I know
his dad.
I know the Mongols invaded twice, so and within a relatively short amount, like 5 years or something. So
I think they got wrecked on the first one.
Well, this is so Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is the first invasion, and then the second invasion, I think, was like 5 years later. So if they do a sequel, they might do that. I kind of hope that they go to mainland Japan and you just become like the wandering samurai going through mainland Japan. That would be super cool, I think. But I don't know. I thought it was a kind of obscure thing to pick, but I ended up loving it in the end, so I can't hate on it too much.
Yeah, I guess they get seen like one singular like bad guy, like enemy.
Right.
I didn't think about that. I just like it. I just like it for what it is, Chad. Come on.
Yeah.
No.
I hope you finish it, man. I really do.
Yeah, I hope that I finish it. I think I for sure will finish it. I hope I 100% it, and I hope I have a 4K TV by the time I play it a second time.
Yeah.
Maybe we can like crowdfund that through the
There you
podcast.
You know, sign up for our Patreon so Nick can get a 4K TV. Hey, thanks for watching this clip of the Showboys podcast. If you like what you heard, please go check out the full episode on our YouTube channel or anywhere you find your podcast content. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, join the Showboys Discord, and if you want to support the podcast and what we do, sign up to become a patron today at patreon.com/showboyspodcast.